Well, welcome to the BDSM podcast. All the booze, desserts, smoke, and meats people. I am Professor Porkloin, and I am here with my awesome co-host.
The Meat Viking.
And we are continuing our journey across the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are hitting up the great state of Illinois.
We are indeed.
Now, I spent some time traveling back and forth to Illinois for a while, and definitely spent more time in Chicago. But I have been to some other places in Illinois, like definitely Southern Illinois. But I think this would be a pretty good state, just because I know more shit to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Based
um,
on based on my last trip to Chicago, I fucking hate Illinois. But hopefully that can be turned around here.
I mean, Chicago is a cool city.
Uh,
There's way more stuff to do out there than there is, let's say, if you go towards Southern Illinois or Edwardsville, I think is one of the state or cities down south.
you ever just have like a bad trip somewhere that you kind of ruin your entire experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Well, if you give yourself another shot, I mean, Chicago's not that bad.
uh,
But
I suppose so.
so what do you got in your cup? I mean, we're trying to find something different because every time we did a video the last couple times, it like sucked up our bandwidth and the internet kept on sucking balls. So
Yep.
what do you got drinking today?
So actually, I have something different. Um, So if you guys fast or not fast forward, but rewind a year to our Thanksgiving episode, it would be no surprise that I love yams. Give me them fucking sweet potatoes and mashed potatoes, or sweet potatoes and marshmallows, and I will
Yeah.
make room on my plate regardless. And I found this beer while I was at the local meat market from Platform Brewing Company, and it is a candied pecan yammy, and it is delicious. It is ale with sweet potato and natural flavors. Tasting notes here: it's nutty, it's caramelized, and it is fall spiced. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Is it like super sweet?
Actually, not really.
All right, I'll take it.
Yeah. Um, I need to see if I can pull up the ABV real quick on this. Around 7.7%.
Okay, you drink a few of those, you're gonna be in some
Yeah.
you're gonna be feeling good.
I will say it is one of those beers I would only drink one or two of at a time.
Okay.
But when I first had this beer, I had it with some ribeye steaks, and it was delicious. There was a nice pairing on that.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went to the old liquor store the other day and I decided to try something different that I haven't had. So not only did I buy my normal rum, but I saw this stuff in here, and it's from Bishop Cider Company, and it's called the Dark Side, but it's spelled CIDE, like cider,
Yep.
and it's black currant, and it's actually pretty good. And their whole thing is may the tart be with you.
I honestly think I've had that beer before.
You probably have.
So, and I
I mean,
I remember enjoying it.
they do have a couple other flavors that I've had. They have a pineapple one. They have a shit, just a regular one, and then there's one called crackberry, and that's got like I think it's blackberry, blueberry, and strawberry,
Mm-hmm.
and that one's pretty dope. But this one from Bishop Cider, if anybody can find it, I highly recommend checking out the Dark Side.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, man. So safe word for today, I'm gonna say Cubs because the Cubs are not the best baseball team, and they
Yep.
I feel like you said Cubs, and it's like, okay, we need to stop.
No, no, you're right on there.
Funny story. A couple years back, again when I was going back and forth to Chicago for a little bit, I went to a Cubs game for my birthday, and uh now my birthday's in the middle of June, And so before the All-Star break, I'm sitting talking with someone in Cub Stadium, which is awesome. It's very historic.
Mm-hmm.
But this lady was like, "Oh yeah, we know they suck. We just come here just to drink." And that's essentially what they did because the Cubs at that point were like 40 games behind, and this was only the half the season. And then I think what was even funnier is shit, I can't even remember who the hell was who outdid them, but it might have been it wasn't Detroit, but it was another one of those like somewhere in the Midwest. It might have been St. Louis. I think they wound up outdoing them and lost by like 49 games or 59 games.
So what you're saying is, to all the foodies out there, is that you may not be a failure. You just might be playing MLB league standards.
But hey, man, the Cubs actually came back a couple years back and won, so good for them. But
That's
you
true.
know, they had to break that 100-year curse.
Yep.
But we're talking about Illinois, so I think the first thing you gotta have to talk about, and we've mentioned this before, is the deep dish. So I
Neat.
know that you were looking at that stuff. So what do you got about the deep dish pizza?
So, going over, for those of you who don't remember, when we had talked about the deep dish pizza, it's essentially pizza, crust, cheese, and sauce in a deep dish form. But I ended up looking for this episode a little more into that. Um, and if you go back 100 years ago in Italy, that is when pizza kind of became their own invention, if you will. And as Italian immigrants came over, it kind of became more popular in the United States, with the two most famous being the New York style pizza and the Chicago style pizza, also known as deep dish.
Yeah,
Um, so what makes this unique is the crust, also known as pizza pie, or commonly a term for a whole pizza, is described as accurately as a flatbread with a thin layer of toppings, right? You think of pizza, you kind of think like relatively flat. You get a little bit of raising in your dough, and then you get toppings all over that, right?
yeah,
However, in Chicago, it's baked in a round pan similar to that of a pie pan. That's how you get that deep dish. Um, and you have to bake it a lot longer. But what happens is that this buttery, rich dough is essentially baked in before any of these toppings are adding to make it like more flaky and more rich.
yeah,
And then when you actually make your pizza, when you make your common pizza, you've got your crust, your sauce, cheese, then toppings, right? That's
yeah.
how,
That's the normal stuff. What do you
right.
got for the other one?
So it's different when you do a Chicago style pizza because, like I had mentioned before, they require that longer time in the oven. And
Yeah,
if you were to put the cheese on top of that and expose it for the heat for as long as it would actually burn and become rubbery. So in Chicago, the order of assembly is crust, cheese, toppings, and then tomato sauce. Um, but when you do a normal pizza, when you have your toppings kind of spread out, if you were to cook it as a normal one, depending on how long you cook it, they can kind of either collapse or get soggy.
yeah,
But on the deep dish, it's got room for like a larger quantity of toppings because the crust is so much sturdier. Um, and in fact, instead of eating this pizza because it's so sturdy, it's not uncommon to eat this with a knife and fork instead of using your hands.
yeah. You ain't gonna pick up that, man. That's
No.
too thick for you to eat with your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to think of like just a pie,
Yeah.
versus your Brooklyn style pizza or your New York style pizza, which I honestly think, I grew up on the East Coast, so I'm a little biased, but I think that style of pizza is way better than deep dish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I definitely had to give it a try, and I remember going there, and I went to Giordano's. Um,
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get to go to Gino's, but I heard Gino's is just as good. But I ate it and it tasted fine. It tasted like pizza, but it just at the end of the night, I'm like, okay, there's leftovers. I'll eat those too. But I feel like this takes forever. Like you go into a regular Brooklyn style or New York style pizza place, and that stuff just you can come out in 10 minutes. And a lot of times they kind of pre-cook the pizza and then they just throw it in the oven and warm it up if you wanted it. But
Yep.
it's the deep dish stuff. It was an experience, but it's not for me.
Yeah. So fun fact, while we were in Chicago, we ended up picking up a deep dish and several other pizzas while we were there. And one of the foodies who I'm in constant contact with was like, "So how would you describe it?" And I kind of want your take on this too, as it is a noodleless lasagna.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah,
Except for just the bottom layer instead of that noodle is your crust.
right.
Yeah, I can see that the way that it's layered up.
Yep.
Noodle. Yeah, that's a pretty good description.
And like, especially because like, I think when we got our Chicago style pizza that we had, it was essentially just pepperoni, and so it was like crust sauce and a little bit of meat, but it was definitely not how I would typically order my pizza back home. I'm a big fan of like the work style pizzas.
Yeah, yeah. Is pretty close to it. That's also very popular in Chicago. Is it's called the pizza pot pie.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to picture like bread crust filled with a bunch of tomato sauce, cheese. It's got mushrooms in it, and some meat, usually sausage. So think of like a almost like a bread bowl. You know how a bread bowl
Yeah,
looks?
yeah.
Well, picture bread bowl, but with pizza crust instead, and then it's got cheese all over the top of it, kind of like a mini deep dish almost.
Yeah, I know what a bread bowl looks like. I've been to Panera before. So
um, and that's kind of what you got for a pizza pot pie. It's just a smaller version of what would be like a bigger deep dish, I guess, except for that it has the red sauce, the cheese, but it has mushrooms and your meat in it.
nice. Well, hopefully
So
not your meat.
nah, we don't need that. It might be a little salty.
That's the wrong website for that.
I mean, we do kind of bring in the a different crowd that probably looks at this and goes, "Oh yeah, why the hell are they talking about food?"
Oh, yeah, different strokes for different folks. What can I say?
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, like I never got a chance to try this when I was in Chicago because I honestly think it was deep dish, was more popular.
Mm-hmm.
And people I were hanging out with or the person I was dating at the time never really said anything about having these little mini pot pies. So one of the other stuff that I remember getting in Chicago too, and it really was something that was kind of close to the the Philly, but it's not, and it's actually not too shabby as a sandwich, and it's basically a roast beef sandwich. So this place is at Johnny's, and there's apparently always a line there. I mean, when I went, it wasn't that bad, but you wait for it. But the reason is because hey, it's basically like a pretend Philly. It's got roast beef, it's got the sweet and spicy peppers.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do cheese though, so that's why it's not really considered a Philly.
Okay.
And they essentially roll it they dip it in gravy.
Ooh.
So when you go there, you make sure you just say, hey, put it hot and dipped. So basically the wetter the sandwich, the better it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole motto of that. So I mean, if you really like Philly cheesesteaks, you would totally enjoy getting one of these roast beef sandwiches from
So
from Johnny's.
this reminds me of something at the restaurant that I grew up in.
Okay.
We used to have something similar to this. It was you could either do pork tenderloin or you can do roast beef was another popular one. Sorry, popular one. It'd be on bread. The sandwich then be sliced in half, and then they would put mashed potatoes in the middle, and then just cover the whole plate in gravy.
Oh man, that's basically like a big open face sandwich at that
Mm-hmm.
point, right?
Yeah, we called them I think beef Manhattans.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were delicious.
Well, this roast beef sandwich is basically the same thing, man. Like you're gonna be enjoying that sandwich.
Mm.
So, but I feel like one of the other things we kind of have to talk about too, and I think we mentioned it before, is the Chicago dog.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say like while we're on the topic of food, um it wouldn't be us if we didn't mention the old Chicago dog.
Yeah.
Now, I've had Chicago dog variations before, and I will admit it is not my go-to. I would much prefer a Coney dog. But for those of them who maybe not know what the Chicago dog is, would you like to enlighten the viewers on that?
I mean, it basically has a pickle on it.
Now, okay. So hold up. Because at what point then is it just like, hey, dude, just throw relish on that, you know?
Yeah, but a like relish though is it's been, you know,
Right. So you pickled your pickle before you put it on your hot dog.
yeah, this is just a normal pick. Yeah, I guess so.
So when I've had a Chicago dog, it has been sesame seed hot dog bun, right?
Okay, getting fancy there.
Yep. It was the hot dog itself was good, but what threw me off was like you had a pickle on there that was as long as that hot dog, and then you had not like sliced banana peppers, but like full ass banana peppers on that, and like another pepper too. I think maybe even some jalapeno peppers.
Like your
Um,
old jalapenos.
some jalapenos, yeah. And like, it's not that it wasn't bad because it's not a bad hot dog. If you like some spice and some sweetness, it's good. But for me, there's just something legendary about a really good coney dog.
Oh yeah.
So that that was my take that I had experienced with the Chicago dog. I think there was
Yeah.
onions on it as well, to be
Yeah, there's
honest.
usually some onions on it. But I mean, there's plenty of places that do hot dogs with onions as well.
Yeah.
There's places where you live
Yep.
that do, and I like the one place with the chili dog, and when we get to that state, we can talk more about that. And I feel like that's probably going to be one of our
Oh yeah.
best states that we're going to talk about because I feel like we have so much shit to talk about.
Right. And yeah, I will admit though, to kind of like go off of what you said, there is one thing that our state is known for that I consider a flat out abomination. I'm gonna see if you can guess that.
Oh geez, I don't. I mean, I'm not from that state,
So
but
it's a popular restaurant. Um, and
tacos.
it starts with an S.
Oh, shit, I don't know what.
Skyline.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
it is essential. Well, we'll get to that when we get to
Yeah,
that.
we'll get to that one.
So, but yeah, everybody, you'll probably be just as disappointed as I am in it. So I hate to bring you down already. It's like people who visit our state, it's like, wow, you guys have heroin and really bad skyline. Like, what the fuck? Nobody wants to live here.
Now to be fair, I mean, there's heroin a lot of other states too,
Yeah,
but
but those states have redeeming qualities. So,
so one of the other things that I definitely liked about Chicago too, and it's called the horseshoe, and it's basically like your drunk food, man. It's something that you would eat at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and so it's basically two pieces of bread, and they top it with some ham, or typically it's ham, although I've seen other stuff, and then they basically douse it with French fries, and then top a shit ton of cheese on top of it, and
Mm.
just let it like sizzle up,
Mm-hmm.
and oh man, when you're hammered at 2 o'clock in the morning, nothing just tastes better than one of these horseshoe stuff. And apparently it's been going on for a long time. Like, this was made back in 1920.
Yeah.
So there have been a lot of people who have been shit faced and have been like, dude, let's go get some of this stuff. It's gonna be fucking great.
There's something about like blackout drunk food at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's just like, yes, this is how the ancient Greeks used to eat. It's like it puts you in that mood, like you're being fed various fruits from like lusty maidens. You know what I mean?
I mean, I've definitely ate some questionable food when I've been drunk, though. So I mean, like,
Well, yeah, but like, don't get me wrong. Anytime that I've ordered food at 2 o'clock in the morning because I've been very drunk, it's never been good food. I do not order like banana smoothies at 2 o'clock in the morning, blasted out of my mind. You know,
yeah, that's true.
so like I know that, but that feel good comfort feeling that it gives you is what I equate to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So there's this other food that I saw too. Apparently, it was really popular, but I never even knew about it, to be honest with you. And I don't know where the place is. Maybe it's in no, it's in Glenview, which I have no idea where the hell that is, but it's in Illinois, and apparently they're known for having um, onions, like not like a blooming onion, but it's kind of like a they're the French fried onions. Like the type of onions that you throw on a burger,
Yeah,
like those shoestring onions almost.
yeah.
Well, they basically take that and they like shove it into a square, tin or whatever, and they fry it, and it comes out almost like a loaf.
Huh.
So I mean, I would probably eat it. Don't get me wrong, because I've eaten bloomin' onions, at Longhorn Steakhouse. I've done the Texas onion, and so I wouldn't put it past myself to sit there and eat this block of fried onions. But it's I just never really heard about it, to be honest with you. And it's from my research, apparently it's a very popular item to have.
Probably not the best thing to do on a date night, but I'd give it a shot.
Someone's gonna be ripping ass. But so I mean, I guess if people want to check it out, it's a place called Hackney's, and it's supposed to be super good. But I never really heard about it. So
Well, I think we should segue now with all this garbage talk of food that we've been doing.
I
You
mean,
know,
it's Illinois. You
well,
basically have garbage food.
well, what I'm saying is like you've got your pizza, you've got your hot
Hot
dogs, you've
dogs.
got
You
your
got your
hamburger, you've
yeah,
got your
fried onions. Like
onion loaf.
yeah.
What do all of those go great with?
I mean, I would say beer.
And I would believe you are correct on that. And that brings us to Revolution Brewing. Um, this is Illinois' largest independently owned brewery. Um, due to the change in the U.S. beer scene, it's undoubtedly been revolutionary. They are very proud of what they accomplished in their short time to become a leader and innovator in the industry. The evolving taste of beer drinkers has demanded bigger flavors, more variety, and better beer. And that's exactly what Revolution Brewing brings to the table. Between the brewery and their brew pub, They produce dozens of different beer styles every year, ranging from IPAs, porters, pilsners, Belgian styles ales, pales ales, barrel aged beers, and the list goes on. It's been a labor of love for them, and you can see in everything that this company does, from the beautiful details at the mahogany bar at the brew pub to the massive beauty of our 800, so 8 of these bitches, 800 barrel fermenters at the
Damn,
brewery.
8 100 barrels. That's a lot.
No, 800 barrels.
Oh, 800s. Holy shit, that's even more.
Yes. Revolution believes in the value of hard work, and we work hard to provide great accessible brews for everyday people. And this kind of has like a neat story behind this the brewer here. His name is Josh Death, and he was a home brewer when he caught a lucky break. Um, in the summer of 1995, Josh Death landed a job at Golden Prairie Brewery. And this non-defunct brewery, Josh was just a novice when he started learning the beer business, but dutifully cleaning kegs and scrubbing tanks. A few years later, Josh dreamt up the idea of Revolution Brewery while working at another popular brewery known as Goose Island. There, he was a cellarman and brew pub brewer. After the first few times opening a brewery that didn't work out, Josh opened Handlebar in 2003 with his wife and a few friends. Always taking on more, he also held the role of executive director of Logan Square Chamber of Commerce, working to promote local businesses and simultaneously managing the Logan Square Farmers Market. In 2008, while working at the chamber, he found a cool old building in on Milwaukee Avenue with a nice tent ceiling, and the brewery idea bubbled up again. After a few years of raising funds, planning constructions, and dealing with the zoning department, Revolution Brewery opened up in February of 2010. And they've added a second floor Brewers Lounge in July of 2011. Production brewery and tap room
Cool.
opened up in spring of 2012, and since then, their brewing capacity has been continuously growing. Revolution currently distributes in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York City, and Wisconsin. And in 2017, Revolution Brewing became the 40th largest craft brewery and the 50th largest overall brewery in the country. And the reason I picked this brewery is the last few states that we've done, I would say they have a respectable amount of beers that they offer. And I would say probably on average, you're looking at 15 to 20. But when I look at this brewery, I kid you not, I probably see 50 different beers that this brewery does.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And they've got
I would think that if you have that many beers on tap, like how much is your inventory when you're looking at all your shit? You know, like are you saying, oh, all right, I'm only have a couple of kegs of this. This is my biggest seller, so I'm gonna have like 20 kegs of this. And you know, I just feel like 50 something beers is a lot.
and I would agree with you. And mind you, I didn't go by and like count these one by one,
Yeah, but that's
but
still a lot.
just eyeballing it, um, just in small batch beers alone, they've got 12 small batch beers that they do. It appears they have a beer for almost every season just in their seasonal selection, and in their probably largest selection that I can pull up right now, known as their Deep Wood series, which tend to be their barrel aged creations. Um, there might be at least 15.
That's wild.
Yeah. And in
So
that, you've got everywhere from like blackberry beers, strawberry brewers, coffee infused beers, some stouts, some milk stouts, some Scotch ales,
they
and
got a
even
variety of stuff.
yeah, even a rye ale, which is something that I tend to not see very often of.
Yeah, you don't see too many rides.
So I think
Well,
that's super neat.
so I'm gonna go on the flip side of this because I have been to a few breweries in Illinois, and this one's actually in southern Illinois. So, the bottom part of the state, and it's actually called Scratch Brewing Company. So this is out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like you are driving, a while to get there, and it's super cool because it's basically like a farmland, and the whole point of the Scratch Brewing is they brew with shit that they pick from their farm,
Hmm.
and it's super weird because like some of the beers are like, you know mushroom whatever, and they wind up using shit that they find, and they brew with mushrooms.
Hmm.
um Oak, hey, we're going to use some of the oak heartwood from the property, and we're going to brew with that stuff. So they really have some different flavors that are out there. But man, is it super cool to go out there again, middle of nowhere, and order up some of these beers. And I have to give credit to them, and if anybody is listening about this, I totally recommend checking it out. Um, just because the environment, and they have food and everything too, but you're taken back to like, hey, I am foraging for my stuff, like I'm not going to get all these crazy hops and whatnot. I am just going to pick whatever I can find on my farm and then use that for the beer.
Right.
So they have not 50 beers like that last one that you're talking about. They usually have a rotation, and depending on the season, depends on what beers they have. So I,
Nice.
I think like that's super cool too, to be like, all right, we have pumpkins, so it's gonna be pumpkin stuff, or like, hey, we have sassafras, and that's big right now, so we're gonna use that.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, dude, it's a super cool brewery to check out. And again, it's called Scratch Brewing Company because they do everything from scratch.
Nice. Now, I hate to kind of block you off on this and head back to Revolution Brewing, but before you started your segment, I clicked on the latest news just to see if I could find any information about how much the brewery has grown,
Yeah.
and this popped up. There is a thing going on now called the Golden Ticket,
Uh,
and you can win an action-packed weekend at C2E2 in 2021. Um, and they're doing this because it's their ninth year as an official beer partner of C2E2. For those of you who don't know what C2E2 is, it is the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo. Um, Revolution Brewing's apparently been a part of them for a while and is offering the fans a chance to win at an action-packed weekend in Chicago. Snag your golden ticket in a 12 pack of the League of Heroes IPA variety pack, and you will win two 3-day passes to C2E2, which happens December 10th through December 12th, a 2-night stay at the Hotel Hyatt Regency during C2E2 weekend, 2 tickets to the Chicago 360 observation deck, and a $100 Revolution Brew, Brew Pub gift card, swag, and more. Um, and it looks like there are 30 of these tickets kind of in these things. So who knows? You might get lucky and get a free weekend to C2E2.
it's
Excuse me.
gonna be like freaking Willy Wonka all over again.
Yep. So I thought that was neat. It's not something that you see. And those of you who don't know, I am a huge nerd, and C2E2 is one of the more popular conventions around me. So I just thought that was really cool, and I wanted to bring it up for any listeners who might be, one, trying to find a new beer, and two, also be a big nerd like me and maybe be able to win a chance to damn near a free weekend at C2E2.
Well, you better get that golden ticket, man.
Right. So
So Well, cool. I'm gonna go to another one that I've been to, and this one's again in Southern Illinois, and you're gonna laugh at the name,
Okay.
because it's called Apple Knocker. And if you look at the name, I mean, Apple Knocker, you think apple, so hard cider, and that's basically what it is. It's a cidery, and they use local apples from Southern Illinois. They do stuff from that, I guess, that tri-state area where Missouri is there and whatnot. And dude, that is also a super cool cidery. And the guy that owns it, he owns it with his wife. He basically like lives in the upstairs part of it, or like the other part of it, and he can come down, and he's got his whole entire business right there. And they have some posters that are super funny. Like one of them is a tree, like an apple tree, but it's got two big jugs. Like it looks like it's a female tree, and it's got boobs on it, and it's like Apple Knocker, and it's it's like, man, this person came up with an awesome idea and just ran with it. So it's they have some pretty cool things that are on tap. They definitely have like your normal sweet, normal dry, ciders, but they also do a couple different recipes as well. And man, it's one of those local places that you go to and you can just hang out for the day. You know how, like, we were talking about in California, how they have, the wineries, and they have like the food and all that other crap on it.
Yes, I do know.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like that too. They don't have a kitchen from the last thing that I remembered. It might have been in the works, but like you can order food out, and like people can deliver it, and you can sit and like hang out for the day and just do puzzles, do other things, like talk with people. And so that's my other recommendation, is to check out this place called Apple Knocker and do the hard cider stuff. So super cool when it comes to just Southern Illinois, and what type of awesome things that you can find when you're not in the cities, like outside of Chicago. Like Chicago has their own shit, but like Southern Illinois and like other places in Illinois have respectable things too.
Hmm.
So, but if you can ever get a chance, definitely check out Apple Knocker and see if you can buy a poster, if you can buy one of their things talking about their cider.
Yeah, you have got me with the marketing ploy on that hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. You know what? If you can even Google it. If you just Google Apple Knocker, and
Hmm.
it's one of their posters, but also one of their labels for one of their ciders.
Hmm.
And you can see it. You can just see the two apples as the boobs. Full figured freaking tree.
I don't know if I want to pull that up on this computer. It's still relatively new and very expensive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's not like you're pulling up some porn on it, where now your FBI agent's gonna wind up seeing a bunch of porn, or the
sometimes.
or what is it? The algorithm, the Google algorithm's gonna start showing you freaking all your search history.
So I put in Apple knockers in Google search, and it won't even let me pull up images. It goes all videos and shopping.
Really? Won't even go to that?
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
Nope. Bastards.
Well, I know that Illinois also has some desserts too, to kind of finish out this whole entire segue. I know the first one is popcorn.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that popcorn apparently is a big ass thing for especially Chicagoans, but Illinois in general. And there's like a lot of things that they do around the year, and it's just surrounded about popcorn. And apparently, like a caramel, you know, orange finger staining cheese powder is like the two that are the most popular popcorns.
Okay. So, like, one, you're right. But second, I think we need to dive a little bit deeper into this, okay?
Yeah, go for it. What do you got?
Because this is a tale of goddamn customer service. Okay. Right. Like this is if I was a customer service specialist, which in a way I sort of am, but I'm also not afraid to tell you to fuck off if you're being wrong. So, um, the Chicago style popcorn is made famous by the Garrett Popcorn Company, right? I don't know
Okay.
if I don't know if you know this, but their popcorn was so goddamn baller that you would get lines forming around the block, right? And they
Mm.
noticed something. And like Chicago blocks, for those of you who might live in the sticks, okay, that some bitch is like a country mile, okay? Like that's a big line. So they noticed that people were ordering their cheesy popcorn, right? And they
Okay.
were also ordering their caramel popcorn. And they had the bright idea because they would witness these people putting these in a bag together and then shaking it up, right? And so Garrett, being the customer service and of course, big popcorn business that they are, decided, wait a second, let's do that for them. We'll take the step out. Next thing you know, Chicago style popcorn. You've got your sweaty gamer finger Cheeto dust. You got your sticky finger caramel. And so you have this sweet, salty, cheesy, buttery, popcorny goodness. And it's all because these lines were so damn long. And somebody was like, they're putting our popcorn in two different bags. Let's just up the price a little bit and just put it in the same bag for them.
That's I think that's more than just customer service, man. That's just ingenuity.
Right? Right? Like, hmm. You don't see that nowadays. Like,
Uh,
if this was in today's day and age, all right, the caramel popcorn would come with a microtransaction to have a bag. They would charge you $2.75 for the bag, and then the cheesy popcorn would be like $20 and another $2.75 for the bag. And so now they're just like, yo, you would end up spending $100 on like a 12-ounce bag of popcorn because next thing you know, Big Popcorn has your credit card. No,
big popcorn. The
Big
fuck?
Popcorn has your credit card.
What the fuck, man?
But no, like 10 out of 10, you Garrett Popcorn, 10 out of
Big pop.
10.
I mean, whatever,
Dude, it might be a thing. Look,
it
I'm
might
just
be a
saying
thing.
there are many states that all they do is they grow corn and they grow beans. I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you right now, big popcorn is probably a thing.
I mean, you're not wrong, but yeah, I mean, popcorn was never like my big vice. Like I totally can get down with some of that the white cheddar popcorn,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely is not my go-to thing. You know, I'm more of the dessert style kind of guy.
No, I agree with you.
So,
Although I will admit, I do like me some kettle corn.
yeah, I kind of feel like I have to be in the mood for some kettle corn.
That's fair.
Like I feel like I got to be at a fair or some shit like that.
Yeah. All right. So to go on my big popcorn conspiracy theory a little further here, uh, it's actually relatively cheap. Carnival King brand 50-pound bag of extra large mushroom pop kernels for only $22.99.
That's a big ass thing of freaking popcorn, man.
Yeah, so big popcorn's a thing. 10 out of 10. Can confirm.
Well,
Uh,
there's one more dessert that you kind of looked up too, right? Wasn't it ice cream or some type of lemonade or some shit like that?
so it was what is known as the Italian lemonade. And it's super simple to make. You can make this from scratch. It's maybe take you like Well, if you make the simple syrup from scratch, which it's not the kind of simple syrup you'll find normally, so you're gonna run into a little bit of issue here. Not that big of a deal, but is you're gonna need about 12 to 15 lemons, 2 cups of basil simple syrup, 2 cups of cold sparkling water, ice, and some lemon twist for garnish. Um, and in doing that, you're gonna get about 4 to 6 servings. And for those of you who don't know how to make a simple syrup, super, super easy. What you're gonna do for a basil simple syrup, you're just gonna wash your basil, and then you're gonna like de-stem it. You're gonna take 2 cups of sugar and a cup of water. You set that to a boil, and then set it off to the side, and there you have your simple syrup.
Yeah.
Super easy. So, but apparently it's super popular in Chicago, and I would never have guessed that.
Yeah. Me neither. I don't think I would have guessed that.
Maybe it's from like the immigration from all of the Italians moving during the Industrial Revolution. They took the basil from home and made lemonade with it as a more like refreshing kind of drink. That's
Maybe.
my only guess. I couldn't find any history on it. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, sounds like it's a pretty good thing to drink. Pretty good drink to have.
yeah, I would try it. I know there is this diner a few towns over that the wife and I have been going to for brunch on our days off, and they do a strawberry basil lemonade, but it's with vodka, and
Okay.
it's one of those drinks where like this is really good, but if you have 2 of them, you're gonna need to Uber to the street down the road.
I
So
really
yeah.
think it's going to be interesting when we get to some of those other states. Like when we get to the one that you live in, I feel like we're just going to have maybe a two-parter because I feel like both of us can just talk a shit ton about it.
Oh yeah. And like same as we get to the state that you live in. And that
Yeah.
actually might be a 3-parter. Because there are some restaurants that can only be found um in like the Houston area
Yeah.
that need their own shout out.
You know what? And then even going all the way out to the Dallas, and I've
Yep.
never been like to El Paso, but
Yeah, you're not missing
yeah,
much.
uh, yeah, but still, San
So
Antonio. I mean, there's a lot of shit that we could talk about.
dude,
So
San Antonio itself could be San Antonio and Austin could be like a 3-part series just going over food trucks.
yeah, that's
That's not
true.
even sitting or stepping foot into a
Into a
restaurant.
restaurant, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think Illinois is basically done up. This one might be one of our longer ones, which is kind of funny because I didn't think that both of us would be talking a lot about it with some of our experiences.
Right? But here we are. So,
So,
foodies,
but
let us know if you enjoyed this. If you've ever had deep dish pizza, am I right or am I wrong that it's just noodleless lasagna?
yep,
Um,
100%.
and also, are you on the big popcorn conspiracy theory?
Well, I am Professor Porkloin, and I feel like we should sign off for that and just leave it at the big popcorn conspiracy. Leave comments, talk to us. Are you part of big popcorn?
Right? Maybe that's where all the sex bots come from. I bet they're big popcorn.
Yeah, they keep on saying, "Do you want to have some popcorn tonight?"
Yeah, they sure do. It's like once a week, I just have to like go through and just delete comments, and I'm like, uh. So, but it's been great. We'll be back with our next state here soon.
All right,
Later.
later.